What's going on, guys? Justin with Z1 Off-Road. Today we're going to be installing our Add-A-Sub Z1 audio package in Lauren's D40 Nissan Frontier. Now that we have Lauren's truck pulled into the shop, first thing we're going to do is we're going to disconnect the battery. All right, safety. First thing is what we're going to do is we're going to just run our power line from the battery. We're not going to hook anything up to start, but we're going to run it from here across the firewall, down through a grommet that's already there, and then up under the sill of the door. So what we are going to do is we're going to open up our harness. We're going to start with this here. We're going to leave it unclicked, right? That circuit's closed, circuit's open. We're just going to set this right along here for now. We're going to come back, zip tie everything up. We just want to make sure that we got everything behind your master cylinder here. You're going to see this little black grommet right here through the firewall. You see this little guy with that I'm pointing at? We're going to pry that out. Probably just going to poke it through with like a screwdriver or something. Our harness comes with a grommet already, so this will just pop right into that same location that this is in. So we're just going to have a little pick. I'm going to poke that guy out. And you now see just the open hole right behind the master cylinder. It had a little rubber grommet. I just poked it through with a little punch. And then now I'm going to fish my power line through. All right? So we're just going to take our power cord and fish it through. Here is our grommet. So we're going to go up essentially to this point here. And this is going to pop through that same opening we just opened up in the firewall. Now that we fished our wire through the hole, we squeeze that grommet in there and just kind of pinch it, push it through, and then it'll separate and open right back up to fill that void. Okay, cool. So now we're back in the front seat of the truck. We have our power cord fished through our hole in the grommet in the firewall. What I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna remove the floor mat just so you guys can see. All right, so essentially we need to get to underneath the seat. That's where we're gonna mount our amp. Now, if you have an electric power seat, you're gonna need the battery to be connected to be able to move your seat, to be able to get to the front bolts, and then you'll have to slide it forward just to get to the rear bolts. So you have to play that dance, but just be careful. But since this is not a powered seat, it's gonna be very simple. We're just gonna pop the trim piece up to get to our bolts. So now with our front driver's seat removed, we're gonna essentially just tuck in our power line behind this kick panel. We're gonna run it down the firewall, or not firewall, down the A pillar. You can also remove this kick plate too if you can't get access to it, but I think I can see it. Channel that's in our floor already. I'm gonna use this little retainer to sneak it through. We got that all tucked away. And we're just gonna fish it up right through here. Okay, I'm gonna take my amplifier bracket. If you had a factory subwoofer, it's gonna go into the same location that the factory amp went into, if you have one of those. If not, the holes are already provided in the floor. Punch a hole through there, drill through there. We got 2 10s. I'm gonna go down here, onto the floor. We got a little bit of wiggle room in this. I should just do like a pick. Just poking a hole through the carpet here, just so I can get it started. Route our carpet down. These guys are actually gonna come up through here. We need to run our ground strap, okay? So if you look under here, there's another 10mm bolt that your factory grounds are already connected to. We're gonna use that same bolt. Okay, make sure we're capturing both of them so we don't have any wiring issues down the road. And then right back into that same location. Tuck all that away again. Ground's gonna come up through here. So this is our mono channel. It's gonna simply mount to the 4 existing holes using the hardware that's provided. We have these 4 little 3mm Allens. Just drop down. What we gotta do now is, since Lauren's truck is a base audio, so not the Rockford or like a Fender system in the D41. So what we have to do is connect and collect all the audio signal off the back of the head unit. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna remove our dash platform. If you don't have a dash platform, it's the same steps. You just need to remove this upper tray first. Removing our support bracket for our dash platform. Like I said, if you don't have that, yours will just look like this plastic tray. You pop that plastic tray and you're right in the same location that I'm at right now. It's probably gonna be a little easier to show you now that this thing's popped out. But you have 2 screw holes here, and you have 2 that are going into this plastic trim piece under here. And then once those are gone, everything just kind of pulls out of the center. Cool. So now that we have our head unit removed and we have a couple of our audio connections, we're gonna end up sending you 2 harnesses. So Nissan did some weird things. Regardless of what year trim you have, you might have 2 different head units. Some of them have a nice GPS screen, some of them have just the backup camera. But we're gonna send you 2 separate harnesses depending on what head unit you have. One of these will not be used, okay? So this is the one we have in our vehicle right now, and they only go in one way. So you can see these plugs are completely different between the 2 head units, so you can't mess it up. The truck that we have is gonna be this unit here. So as you can see, from behind the dashboard, we disconnected these. The plug only goes in one way. So you can see this one, it's too big, doesn't fit in there. It goes into this one, okay? So it just clips right in. This one's gonna go back into the factory location. This one here, the little pigtail, is gonna go into this location on the bottom. Okay, so our T-harness goes in between the wiring from the truck and the head unit. We have our add a sub harness that just plugs into our little pigtail. Again, only goes in one way. And then we just need to fish this harness down through the dashboard. You can already see light through the passenger or the footwell of the driver's side. And I just need to feed this wire down. Make sure I'm not getting hung up on anything. And then we're just gonna fish this around and keep it away from all of our, other things like our mounting locations. So that's in place there. We're just gonna slide our dashboard forward again, just to hold it in place temporarily. Now that we've dropped our add a sub harness down through our dashboard here, you're gonna see this plastic trim, right? It's not too tight against the carpet. So if for any reason you can't just tuck your harness down underneath here like so, there's 2 screws here, one on the right side, one on the left side, and then 2 up underneath this cover here that you can remove the entire center console. But in our case, you don't need to. You just simply route your wire here. You might need to pry it up a little bit, give yourself a little space. As you see, it goes in nice and clean. We're gonna come under this carpet here, okay? This plug only plugs in one way. And there we go. We'll tuck up our wires once we get everything connected. And we'll do some quick cable management. All right. So now all we gotta do is make our connections. All right. So we have an access cover here. We're just gonna use the 2.5 to pull these guys off. We have 3mm connections here. Our red one is gonna be our power. It just goes straight directly in. And you just cinch it down. Doesn't need to be too crazy tight, just snug enough to hold in place. Now, as far as all your settings, just refer to your install guide for the base, applications to get it within the simple parameters, and then you can adjust from there based on your own, the way you like to listen to your music. Okay. So now our amp is installed. There, and now we just need to run our harness to our subwoofer and install the sub and then put everything back in. All right, cool. So now that we have our power and ground hooked up, we just need to run our subwoofer harness. So we're gonna run it from our amp. We're gonna go underneath the carpet, along our door trim, underneath the rear passenger seat, and then where that under-seat storage plastic container is on the passenger side is where our subwoofer is gonna be. So this end here is gonna plug into our amp. So this end is what plugs up to our subwoofer, to the connection. And we're gonna go underneath this plastic trim panel and underneath here. So these little guys are real simple. They just have these little quarter turn here. These little plastic trays just drop right out real quick. We're gonna pop that one back in. This one here is gonna get removed for good. Okay, we'll remove that tray. And our connection for our sub is gonna just end up right here. So we're just gonna pull some slack, give us plenty of room. Tuck this guy up underneath here again. Get it up out of the way. Okay, we can reinstall this guy real fast. Okay, now let's move to the sub. Now that we're in the rear of our vehicle, we have our loaded sub box. We've added our MOLLE panel. It's just 2 10s, just already into the threaded inserts. We have these grommets on the bottom that are in these pins. So you'll screw these pins in, okay? And our grommet is just gonna go right into these little openings in your floor already, just to locate your subwoofer and keep it in place and keep it from rattling around in there. All this does is drop right onto those pins. Simple. Okay, that's in there. So we're just gonna pull the slack back through and we're just gonna hide it under this carpet here, as we don't need it all there. I'm just gonna tuck it underneath our passenger side under seat storage. Now that we have to make our connections, we're gonna take our 3mm again. We have 1 positive and 1 negative. You don't necessarily have to put this cover back on, but if you're the type of person who throws stuff under your seat, or you got some kids that like to mess around with things in your vehicle, you just throw this cover back on to protect all your settings and your connections. Now follow me under the hood. So final thing of the install is we just need to hook up power. So we have our little ring terminal. So essentially this just needs to get zip tied and secured up out of the way. Your piece will come with a provided piece of double-sided tape here that you can just stick to your fuse box here. So we'll do that, and then we just need to get some zip ties and do some cable management for what essentially we're gonna do is just keep our power line connected to the vehicle harness that runs along the top of the firewall, just to keep it out of any moving positions. And we are all set. Okay, cool. So now that we have it all zip tied up along the firewall here, nice and neat, out of the way of moving spots, before we do anything else, we're gonna peel the double-sided tape off the back side of this, and then we are gonna just stick it to our box. All right, so if your truck is anything like Lauren's truck, and it's probably close to 20 years old, you probably need to clean this off before sticking your double-sided tape down. We're just gonna run it right here into the fuse box. Final thing of the install is we just need to hook up power. So we're gonna undo this little connector here. Okay, so we have our little ring terminal. She's got lights and things, so she's got other connections. She probably could use a distribution block too. So essentially, this just needs to get zip tied and secured up out of the way. Your piece will come with a provided piece of double-sided tape here that you can just stick to your fuse box here. So we'll do that, and then we just need to get some zip ties and do some cable management for what essentially we're gonna do is just keep our power line connected to the vehicle harness that runs along the top of the firewall, just to keep it out of any moving positions. And we are all set. So that completes the subwoofer and bass package install for the D40 Nissan Frontier. So if you're looking for a little boom in the backseat of your truck, shop Z1 Audio at z1offroad.com today.